Welcome to Amish Roots. Thank you for joining me. What could be more exciting for a 6-year-old Amish girl than boarding the big yellow bus on her first day of school? For years, I had watched my older siblings walk out the lane, get on the bus, wishing I could go too. Not only did the thought of going to school thrill me, but for someone who seldom got to ride in a motorized vehicle, the bus held a special appeal for me. So, the summer I was 6, it was a countdown to that September day when I was going to ride on the big yellow bus for the very first time. We were the only family from our Amish community that attended the public school. The rest of the children had to walk to the one room schools that the community had built for the Amish children. I don't remember ever questioning why I was going to ride the bus while all the other children had to walk to their school, but I know that I was happy about it. I did, however, ask my dad later, when I was older, why he sent us to the public school rather than the Amish one. His answer to me was, well, I knew you children would have to learn how to associate with the English eventually, so I figured you might as well start when you were young. It turns out that when the Amish school decided to build their own schools, he was not in favor of it for that very reason. He wanted us to learn to live with those outside our community and to develop relationships with those who are different than us. I am forever grateful that he had that vision for us, even though it came with its own set of challenges. Anyway, let's get back on the bus. I remember how happy I was that morning to put on my school clothes for the first time, swinging my blue lunch pail that had been handed down to me, and walking out the farm lane with my siblings to wait for the bus to arrive. After many instructions from my siblings, and probably countless questions from me, the bus came to a stop and the doors slid open. I don't recall if I got to board first because I was the youngest or if one of my sisters had to help me. But I do remember how high that first step up was. This ride was the first of many for me, and it is interesting how my experience from that trip evolved over the years. I was quite shy when I started school, so mostly kept to myself, content to just listen and learn. Everyone was my friend, and my thought was that we were all in this together and it would stay that way until I was proven otherwise. If you ever heard the expression, children can be cruel, it was never more true than on the school bus. Imagine my surprise when I told my sister that I would like to sit at the back of the bus for a change. And she told me, only the older kids get to sit there. I also started noticing that if any student was different in any way, someone always decided they were fair game for ridicule. I remember there was a young fellow who was the only one who got on at the bus at his stop. It turns out he was an only child. So, this apparently was a good reason to pick on him. Not only that, but his parents named him Wellington. It was a very big name for a little boy who was big for his age. All good reasons, I guess, to make his life miserable with no one there to stick up for him. Because I had older siblings, my ride on the bus for the first few years, I was left alone. But as I got older, things changed. Name calling was often used as a way to show the other students who it was that ruled the bus. Trying to make someone cry was always the goal, and I was not immune from this. They liked to taunt me by calling me Woofy. It was a play on my name, Ruthie, which I also didn't like. It was meant to make me feel like I was a dog. And they would sing, there's a little Woofy in the window. I do hope that Woofy's for sale. I soon learned that talking back to them only made things worse. So I tried to sit somewhere they were less likely to torture me. The fact that we were the only family on the bus that drove a horse and buggy also centered us out. And being called Amish was said in a way to make you feel less than the others. I wish I could say that because of my experiences of being taunted, I was compassionate toward the other kids that got picked on, but I can't. Most times, I just tried to ignore what was going on, even though I felt sorry for the other kids. Part of me wanted to stand up to the mean kids, but I selfishly did not want them to turn on me. Worst of all, when I think back to that time, I remember sometimes participating in the put downs just to show the bullies I fit in, even though I didn't really like how it felt when I did it. I'm proof that kids can be mean. I don't know why they used the school bus as a time to punish children that didn't deserve it to be treated this way. Was it because the only adult to control things was busy driving the bus? It never seemed quite as bad after we arrived at school. Maybe this was because the younger children were separated from the older kids and went to their own classes. You might ask why I never said anything to my parents. I think it was because I was afraid that they might send me to the Amish school and I would have to stop riding the bus. You see, even though sometimes it wasn't so nice, I never tired of traveling on the bus. I love seeing the changing landscapes of the seasons. For me, this was the vacation away from the farm my family never took. I got to see things further from home than the horse and buggy could take me. It was on the ride to and from school I could have a break from learning at school and chores at home. This was Ruth time. Even to this day, I can take you on the route my school bus followed. And I remember which farms we picked up kids and most of the children that boarded the bus at that stop. You know, I regret that my actions may have caused others to wish they did not have to share the bus with me. And I especially apologize to Billy, who I and others teased unkindly. We've all since scattered in many different directions, and the properties have changed hands. But the thrill of riding that big yellow school bus is still a very fond memory for me. I encourage parents to talk to their children about being kind and respectful to the others that ride the bus with them. I encourage the students not to be like me and listen to the advice my dad gave us when we had issues with others. He said, if you have nothing nice to say nothing. Yes, kids can be cruel, but we don't have to be. Maybe my aunt was right when she told me many years ago kids are cute until they go to school. Well, mach's gut, and see you next week on Amish Roots Plain Talk in a Modern World.